From bombs found inside squids to a horrifying discovery inside the belly of a snake, here are 10 of the weirdest things found inside animals. Number 10. Squid Bomb. What is the last thing you would expect to find inside of a squid? The correct answer is a bomb. A fishmonger in China made a bizarre discovery after finding a small 3-pound explosive inside of a squid he had probably been trying to eat. The bomb was rusty and old, but apparently it remained operational. Authorities figured it was likely dropped by a fighter jet and subsequently gobbled down by the squid. In all likelihood, the squid probably thought it was just a piece of food and simply swallowed it. The squid was caught in very shallow waters off the coast of China and then brought to a local fish market with the bomb still inside it, but it wasn't until the squid was being prepared that the bomb was found. After the discovery was made, authorities were alerted and they came to take the bomb away. Then they safely got rid of it using a controlled explosion. This is definitely one of the most bizarre things ever found in an animal. How the bomb was swallowed by a squid and never accidentally exploded through all of its travels is a bit of a mystery. Number 9. Arm in a shark. The story of the arm in the shark is a classic. It's a pretty long story too, so let's start at the beginning. It all began when a giant shark inside the Coogee Aquarium in Australia spat out a partially digested human arm. Visitors at the aquarium were obviously a little shocked, and authorities quickly took interest. The shark had only been caught the day before and then placed inside of the pool, and the first thought was that the shark had eaten somebody. Upon further investigation, authorities discovered that the limb had a very specific tattoo on it, and there was even a rope tied around the wrist. The arm was identified very quickly because of the distinctive tattoo. There were only 2 such tattoos in the Sydney area. One of the tattoos was still attached to a living body, and the second tattoo belonged to a man who had not been seen in several weeks. Further inspections of the arm revealed that it was not eaten by a shark. It had actually been cut off with a blade. This meant the authorities had a murder on their hands. While we don't have time to go over all the absurd details of what followed, the mysterious arm in the shark basically set off a string of violent incidents with nobody ever being arrested for murder. The rest of the body was never found, no convictions were ever placed, and that's the end of the story. Number 8. Dog eats knife. Every dog owner's nightmare is that their 4-legged friend will eat something they're not supposed to and have some serious medical problems. But what do you do when your dog swallows a chef's knife? This is what happened with a small puppy named Macy in Scotland. The story starts when the dog's owner became concerned because Macy was vomiting and choking violently. The owner immediately took the dog to the veterinarian, who then took X-ray photos and found a giant knife lodged inside of the dog. This was no small knife either. It was 8 inches long and the poor pupper was only 12 weeks old. The veterinarian figured the dog must have swallowed the handle first, otherwise the blade would have pierced her organs and caused fatal injury. The owner of the dog had no idea how she could have possibly gotten a hold of the knife, never mind gotten it all the way into her stomach. Thankfully, they were able to remove the knife with surgery and the dog survived the horrifying incident. Macy will live on to be a healthy adult dog. Number 7. Coins in a turtle. A poor turtle in Thailand recently needed to have 900 coins removed from its stomach. As reported by The Guardian, the 25-year-old green sea turtle was swallowing money thrown into her pool by selfish tourists trying to get some good luck. This is a popular superstition, especially in many Asian countries, but it turned into a rather unlucky endeavour for the unfortunate turtle. In 2017, veterinarians in Bangkok had to operate on the female green turtle to remove approximately 915 coins from her stomach. Basically, in Thailand, a lot of people believe that throwing a coin onto a turtle will bring longevity. In this one particular pond, the sea turtle was eating the coins that people were throwing onto her, and eventually they formed a giant ball of metal in the turtle's stomach. The weight of all these coins cracked her shell and caused life-threatening injuries. I am happy to say that the turtle survived the surgery and will hopefully live a long and healthy life going forward. Sea turtles can live for around 80 years, so she still has more than half her life ahead of her. Number 6. Alligator and python. What happens when a Burmese python and an alligator battle to the death? Well, you can see the result in these astonishing X-ray photographs. The Burmese python is definitely going to win the battle. While both are formidable predators, the python is simply too powerful and too sneaky to lose a fight with an alligator. This particular incident was captured at the University of Alabama, and it's pretty clear that the python swallowed the entire alligator. That's definitely one way to dominate your opponent. What's really interesting is that scientists at the University of Alabama studied what happens to a snake's body after it swallows such a large meal. This particular python was around 10 feet long, and scientists found that as soon as it swallows something so large, its organs actually begin to change size and alter how they function. The snake's heart rate increases by 40% and its liver doubles in size. The kidneys also increase in size by 72%. The python will then flood its small intestine with an extremely powerful acid to break down its meal, while its metabolic rate increases by around 40 times. Basically, imagine if you ate a giant chicken dinner and then your heart got 40% bigger so that you could deal with digesting it. Snakes are pretty incredible animals. Number 5. Ostrich junk. It's no secret that birds will eat basically anything. They aren't the most discreet or picky animals on the planet. One particular ostrich actually had its diet immortalised when a photographer at the Zoological Society of London took a snapshot of the contents of its stomach after it died. Ostriches typically just eat roots, seeds, flowers, and the occasional snake or lizard. But this ostrich had a hankering for fashion. Found inside the ostrich's stomach were 2 handkerchiefs, one of them being lace and extremely fancy, a single button glove, a length of rope, a few metal items, assorted coins, hooks, and even a 4-inch nail. We can assume that the fancy handkerchiefs were probably nipped off of the zoo visitors. As for the last item on the list, the 4-inch nail, you won't be surprised to find out that it was indeed the poor bird's cause of death. Of course, you're probably wondering who in these modern times is visiting a zoo with handkerchiefs. And let me clarify that this story comes to us from 1930, when everybody had handkerchiefs. Number 4. Frog rocks. It must be very uncomfortable to have a whole belly full of rocks. And if you were a frog, I imagine it would make your hopping very difficult. This is a story from 2014, when a pet frog from Texas swallowed 30 little rocks and found itself in a bit of a situation. The x-rays make it look like the frog was carrying a bunch of misshaped eggs, but they were in fact rocks. He ended up undergoing surgery at the local animal hospital and thankfully made it out all right. The x-ray of the frog and all the rocks in its belly was actually the winner in the Veterinary Practice News' annual They Ate What competition, and it helped the animal hospital where the frog got his surgery to take home the $1,500 prize. As for the frog, whose name was Kermit, there is no new information. We can only hope that the frog has learned its lesson and stopped eating rocks. Number 3. Trout eats thumb. A severed thumb found inside of a trout has been returned to its owner. And yes, this story is just as strange as it sounds. This happened in Wyoming quite some time ago in the 90s, but it's still gold. It all happened when a man dived off his boat to help a girl who had fallen into the water and may have been drowning. For this heroic act, he got a propeller to the hand. His thumb, index finger, and middle finger were all cut off. 2 of the fingers were located and reattached, but the other one remained missing for more than 6 months. It wasn't until the following winter that a fisherman hooked a trout and found the man's thumb inside its stomach. After a lot of calling back and forth, the owner was identified and alerted. According to the report from the Los Angeles Times, the owner was quoted as saying, "As soon as I saw it, I was pretty sure it was mine." That's a pretty bold thing to say, as I'm pretty sure I could not pick my thumb out of a lineup. But the good news is at least the guy got his thumb back from the greedy fish who ate it. The bad news is that it probably never got reattached considering it had been underwater for 6 months. Number 2. Tiger shark eats night. In the 16th century, sharks were known as sea dogs. Before we had any kind of technology to look below the waves and see what was really going on, people were actually terrified of the water. There were all kinds of superstitions and tales of monsters living in the depths of the world's oceans. And one of the most fearsome creatures was of course the shark. If you look back at some of the artistic publications from the 16th century of what sea creatures were supposed to look like, it's no wonder people were scared of them. Artist renderings of sharks made them look like absolute monsters. And then there is this story from 1554. According to the Smithsonian magazine, the French physician Guillaume Rondelet claimed that he found a shark with a full suit of armour still in its belly. Whether this is true or not is anyone's guess, but it's certainly not impossible. Number 1. All the eggs. The photo of the giant python with its belly cut open to reveal its eggs has been circling the internet and getting a lot of attention lately. The snake apparently comes from a village in Nigeria, where it was hunted down and killed after supposedly eating a farmer's calf. The local authorities assumed it was a snake that had eaten a calf, and so they found a very large python and cut it open to see what was in its belly. But rather than the lost farm animal, they instead found dozens and dozens of eggs. This poor snake hadn't been eating anybody's farm cows. It was just a pregnant snake trying to find a place to lay its eggs. All these discoveries are definitely disturbing, but which one is the most disturbing? Let me know your thoughts in the comments. Thank you for watching, and don't forget to subscribe. See you again soon for another fun video. If you had to choose, would you rather try to fight off an anaconda attack or a bull shark attack?